So, hey guys, what's up? Super Flying Glide on 74 here. So, today I'm going to give you an update on my opinions on Queen's genres. I've learned a little bit, since from my mistakes, and, if you saw that video, you could tell I was very passionate, and I was very annoyed, to say the least, about the fact that people consider Queen a metal band. So yeah, so I was having a conversation with a few people. So I asked my mum, person I know best. She said no, they're not. I asked Catherine, my sister. She said no, a metal band. My dad, who is a musician and he knows quite a bit about music. He said no, they're probably not a metal band. And then I was talking to Raj, and he said something that I didn't realize, which is very good knowledge, and which you should learn from. That Queen may have touched on metal, but that doesn't make them a metal band. Like the Beatles. I was told that I don't listen to the Beatles that much. But I do know that they touched on metal once in a song called "Helter Skelter," which Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie covered. Two metal artists. All right. Yes. So they may have touched on it, but what I want to know is, does that really make them heavy metal? No, not really. When I think of a metal band, I think of bands like the band on my t-shirt, Slipknot. They are pretty heavy, and I think of bands. They are kind of like sort of like old school metal, but come on. I guess you could say it's a bit like Metallica, but still, Metallica didn't form until the 80s. Yeah, they may have taken influence and, but still, does it really make Queen a metal band? No, just because you touch on a genre doesn't make you that genre. Because they've touched on electronic, they've done ballads, they've done a lot. They're basically like, I don't know. They're just like a multi-genre band, but really, come on, it's barely that metal. It's a lot more like punk with Stone Cold Crazy. And it's not rap, just to clear that is not rap. Freddie sings his music, and he sings it with passion. And I can understand why people would consider it a somewhat metal song, like an old school metal song. What I don't get is people calling the first few albums, like high fantasy tinged heavy metal. No, that is more like progressive rock. Like progressive rock bands like Pink Floyd or whatever. It's very progressive on the first two albums because they hadn't developed an original sound yet. And you call songs like, I don't know, The Night Comes Down, Jesus, Seven Seas of Rye, Nevermore, Fairy Fellows, Master Stroke, all these different Queen songs, they're not metal on the first two albums, but they definitely did get a somewhat inspiration for metal, and I'm not sure who wrote Stone Cold Crazy. It could have either been written by all of them or not even written by any of them at all. It sounds kind of like a Brian May song to me, and that would make sense because Brian May knows the godfather of metal, Tony Iommi. And for those of you who don't know, Tony Iommi was part of a band called Black Sabbath that went from the 60s to 2017, 60s or 70s. They invented metal with a lot darker riffing. Sure, the vocals weren't metal, but the guitars certainly were. And the drums were a bit more rock, but that was the roots of metal. But Queen, that's still not metal. I do not consider them metal. Even if they touched on it, I don't consider any of their albums metal. Rap, really? It will be the lyrics would be so much more explicit if the lyrics would be so much more explicit if the lyrics would be so much more explicit if they rapped, and there wouldn't be that much auto-tune, because auto-tune didn't exist, and everyone says, this guy, Freddie Mercury didn't need auto-tune. Well, auto-tune didn't exist back then, to all you people who are unfamiliar with music. I myself, as you know, I'm a guitarist. I play drums, even though I don't have a drum set, because I have something which is known as an attached house here in Britain, and it's an absolute nightmare! Okay, I'm sorry. But yeah, I play music, and I've been into rock music for like 3 years now. I was interested in rock music back in 2016, 2017, but then I progressively lost interest because I associated it with Horrid Henry. Stay tuned for a video where I talk about why Horrid Henry is not 12 years old. I started to dislike the Horrid Henry series. I'm not a big fan anymore, but I started to associate rock with Horrid Henry, and now, look at me now, around 3 years, around 6, 7 years later, I am now into bands like Marilyn Manson, Slipknot, Alice Cooper, Limp Bizkit, Megadeth, bands like that, but that's not the point. The point is that Queen is just not heavy metal. Like, I'm sorry for being aggressive in the first part of this video. I really am sorry. I was just so annoyed by all these people who call, like, progressive rock metal. It's not. It's like, I don't consider it metal. Like, I've talked to quite a few people about it. They don't consider it metal. And they are music experts. Well, maybe not experts, but they know quite a bit about music. Like, especially my dad and my brother. Shout out to them. Anyways, yeah, I hope I cleared up some myths about Queen being metal. Yeah, you could consider them like metal on that one song, but that was only one song. It wasn't like the whole Sheer Heart Attack album. Like, it was just one song on that album. And I've listened to almost every Queen album. I've listened to Queen 1, 2, Sheer Heart Attack, A Night at the Opera, Day of the Races, News of the World Jazz, The Game, Hot Space, and Innuendo. So that is 10 albums that I've listened to by Queen. And also the Live Killers album, which you should really check out. It's really good. Sorry. Okay, I just like it that much that I get a bit crazy about it. Anyways, yeah, I hope I clear up some myths, and I hope you now believe that Queen is not a heavy metal band. Alright? Alright. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.